To Trump, the U.S. economy not only added an anemic 22,000 jobs in the month of August, which would unto itself be one of the worst performing job growth months in the last decade, but the previous 2 months were also revised down by a total of 21,000 jobs. That means 21,000 fewer jobs in those months than previously reported. It is the worst 3-month job growth since the pandemic, when Trump presided over the loss of over 20,000 jobs. And prior to that, you'd have to go back to 2010 for a similarly bad performance. This guy has truly cornered the market on dismal jobs numbers in both his first and second terms. And frankly, there was no getting around how bad this number was, to the point where even the right had to contend with the reality of the situation. And look, sure, sex might be nice, but have you ever watched a Fox News host learn in real time that her God King is presiding over some of the weakest jobs numbers in the last 20 years?
22,000 jobs added in the month of August. That was much less than the expectation of 75,000, guys. The July number was revised. I will get to revisions in a moment. Unemployment rate coming in as expected, 4.3%. So that would be higher than July's 4.2%. Again, 22,000 jobs added in August. Let me get you the revisions, because this is what everybody is focused on. For June and July together, combined 21,000 jobs lower than previously reported. I'll categorize that now. So you see for June, it was revised down by 27,000, getting you to negative 13,000, and the change for July up by 6,000, getting you to 79,000.
The irony of all of this is that Donald Trump quite literally fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics statistician for having reported the reality of his bad economic numbers last month, which means either we've got consecutive statisticians who are somehow out to get the president by cooking the books to take down dear leader, or Trump is a dismal steward of the economy, and no amount of finger pointing is going to change the reality of the situation. Take all the time you need with that one. But perhaps the worst part of today's development, as far as Trump is concerned, is that since quote-unquote Liberation Day, the U.S. has lost 42,000 manufacturing jobs. Wasn't the whole point of the trade war that Donald Trump was going to reshore those jobs, revitalize American manufacturing? Remember this proclamation from Trump in March? President Trump is remaking America into a manufacturing superpower. Or this one, President Trump is putting American workers first and bringing back American manufacturing. And this statement from National Economic Council Director and Trump colon dweller Kevin Hassett.
I'm glad you mentioned Section 899, because this is an area of debate within the banking sector. I mean, there are plenty of people who feel that 899 is capturing more people, more companies than intended. So, sure, you want to make sure that you've got something in place to hit back at foreign countries who are, charging us things like digital tax, et cetera, et cetera. But is it also hitting investors who are investing in America, who you want to encourage to continue investing in America, but now they're facing an additional tax?
Right. Our hope is, we're in negotiations with our leading trading partners. Our hope is that they issue policy pronouncements today or tomorrow that make it so that we don't need to include 899 in the bill. That's our hope.
So you think there's a chance that 899 comes out of this bill?
I sure do, yeah.
I see.
Or how about Trump's trade representative, Jamison Greer?
The president's goal here is to reduce the trade deficit and to reshore manufacturing and to really use tariffs as a tool of trade policy and economic policy like it's meant to be used. And so with some of these countries, it makes the most sense to open their market while retaining a tariff. Some of the countries, they've made commitments to invest in the United States and to provide investment funds or facilities for the president to use to invest in the United States. Most of the countries are committing to purchases. And so he's really just country by country going through, and he's hitting the sweet spot with each one and what's going to be the best way to get down the deficit, maximize benefit for the United States and American workers and our industries.
Or how about Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent?
The president has used tariffs on so many levels, not just to raise revenue, but also to try to even the playing field for fair trade for America, but also some of these non-tariff barriers, like what he said in Brazil about the treatment of the former president there. What would be an ideal scenario? What do you want the Chinese Communist Party to do in order to get back or stay at these current tariff levels and get that August 12th deadline extended?
Well, again, we want them to open up. They are imbalanced right now. They're about 30% of global manufacturing and exports. That's unsustainable. And look, they've got 1.4 billion people. With very high savings rate, they have the potential for a big consumer economy. President Trump is remaking the U.S. into a manufacturing economy. If we could do that together, we do more manufacturing, they do more consumption, that would be a home run for the global economy.
And even Donald J. Trump himself.
This is Liberation Day. I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. More production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers. This will be indeed the golden age.
Well, here's what that golden age looks like. See where the bars shrink all the way down off to the right? The most anemic job growth as far as the eye can see? Yeah, that's where we're at now. Are you soaking in the golden age-ness? But look, at least Trump is well aware of the damage, and so clearly he's taking full responsibility.
Our big year won't be really next year. I think it'll be the year after, because when these plants start opening up, it takes a period of time to build them. We're going to have tremendous job growth. It's unprecedented. We have unprecedented in history. There's never been anything like it, because we're going to have more than $17 trillion invested. There's never been anything like that. If we did $1 trillion in 1 year, and this is 6 months, 7 months, because we really focused on it over the last 6 months.
Okay, so not exactly full responsibility. I guess it's still Biden's economy, and his economy will finally kick in 2027. Convenient, huh? Granted, it's not all downside. Let's not forget that while Americans are losing jobs, the economy is slowing, inflation is rising, there are at least some things that Donald Trump is focused on.
Poland, already I've issued them an invitation. They're great. They were just here, as you know. Great leader, great new leader. One of the big surprises, I was so happy I endorsed him, actually, and he won. And he's going to be a great leader of Poland, but I've invited Poland already.
What about Russia? What about Russia?
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't thought of that. No, I haven't thought of that. That's an interesting question. I'm going to think about that for a little while.
So while the economy might be in pretty bad shape, at least Trump is focused on what really matters: inviting the murderous dictator ruling over Russia to the G20 next year. Priorities, am I right? Of course, with all of that said, at least Trump predicted all of this when he tweeted during the campaign, "If Kamala wins, you are 3 days away from a start of a 1929-style economic depression. If I win, you are 3 days away from the best jobs, the biggest paychecks, and the brightest economic future the world has ever seen." Okay, so maybe not an exact prediction, maybe more like a prediction where the opposite of what you say actually happens. And yet, this is what Trump does. He promises the world to his supporters with zero intention of ever following through. It's his entire MO. He doesn't actually care about any of the things that he promises supporters. That's how he lures people in. In his first term, he promised an infrastructure law that never materialized, a healthcare plan that was cheaper and more comprehensive that never materialized, a middle-class tax cut that never materialized, a jobs boom that never materialized, a manufacturing renaissance that never materialized. But he did make time for a tax cut for himself. And now he is doing the exact same thing, promising reduced costs and cheaper groceries and lower rent and justice when it comes to Epstein's victims and accountability for his criminal associates, but he's not delivering on any of those things. The only thing he's actually done is give himself a tax cut yet again. He will sacrifice the entire economy to get that cash for himself. The guy does not care about you, and he never has. He only cares about himself, his donors, and his wallet. And he does not care what he has to destroy in order to make sure that he and his bottom line are taken care of. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.